He grabs the edge of the platform so hard his fingers go white, knuckles shaking, body swaying like he might fall, but he doesn't. "Don't," he says, voice cracked and thin. "Don't take her." The crowd doesn't move. Boots scrape dust. Someone coughs. The auctioneer doesn't look at him, just flips a page and taps the paper with 2 fingers. "Debt stands," he says flat. "Payment stands." The man shakes his head fast, eyes red, breath sour. "She ain't part of it. You wrote my name, not hers." The auctioneer finally looks up, bored. "Your name owns her." A low murmur moves through the crowd, not sympathy, just habit, like they've seen this before and already decided how it ends. The girl stands beside him, still as a post. Her hands hang at her sides. No tears. No fight. Just quiet watching. He turns to her, grabs her shoulders too tight. "Say something," he begs. "Tell him you ain't for sale." She looks at him, slow, tired. "Papa," she says, soft. "Let go." He shakes his head harder. "No, let go." "No, I'll fix it. I swear I will." The auctioneer lifts his hand. We begin. A man in the crowd raises 2 fingers. 10. Another voice follows quick. 15. The father turns, wild now. "Stop it," he shouts. "She ain't a horse." No one answers him. The numbers climb like it's nothing. 20. 25. 30. He stumbles forward, almost dragging her with him. "I'll work," he says. "You hear me? I'll work every acre you got." The auctioneer doesn't pause. 35. The girl pulls her arm free, gentle, not angry. "Papa," she says again. He looks at her like he's drowning. "I just need time." "You had time." He flinches like she struck him. The crowd shifts, eyes moving between them and the bidding hands, waiting for the end they already know. 40, someone calls. The father steps in front of her now, blocking her from view like that could undo anything. "You take me instead," he says, voice breaking apart. "I'll go. I'll do whatever they want." A man near the front laughs under his breath. "Nobody wants you." The words land heavy. The father's mouth opens, but nothing comes out. The auctioneer doesn't even react. 45. Silence hangs after that number, like the room is holding breath. Then a new voice, calm, low. 50. Heads turn. The cowboy stands near the back, hat low, face unreadable. He doesn't look at the father. He looks at the girl. The auctioneer nods once. 50 offered. No one answers. No one pushes higher. The number sits there, final. The father stares at the man like he doesn't understand what just happened. "You don't know her," he says, weak now. The cowboy doesn't reply. The auctioneer lifts the hammer. Going once. The father's grip tightens again, desperate. "Please," he whispers, not sure to who. Going twice. The girl closes her eyes for a second, then opens them. Empty, steady. "It's all right," she says. The hammer comes down hard. Sold. The sound echoes longer than it should. The father lets go like his hands forgot how to hold. He stumbles back, nearly falling, staring at nothing. The crowd breaks, already done with it, already moving on. The cowboy steps forward, slow, measured. He stops a few feet away from the girl, not touching her. For a moment, no one speaks. Then the father finds his voice again, thin and shaking. "You hurt her," he says, pointing with a trembling hand. "I'll kill you." The cowboy looks at him, calm, almost tired. "You won't." The truth in it cuts deeper than anger. The girl looks between them, then back at the cowboy. He nods once toward the open land beyond the crowd. "You walk," he says quietly. "No rope." She hesitates, just a breath, then steps down from the platform. Her boots hit the dirt soft. She doesn't look back right away. The father watches her go, chest heaving, hands empty. "Mary," he says, voice breaking on her name. She stops, just for a second. Doesn't turn. Then she keeps walking. The cowboy falls into step beside her, leaving space between them. Behind them, the father drops to his knees in the dust, the sound swallowed by the crowd that's already forgotten him. The hammer's echo still hangs when the crowd begins to thin, boots turning away, voices fading like nothing worth remembering just happened. The father stays on his knees in the dust, staring at the space where his daughter stood. His hands twitch like they're still holding her, like they don't understand she's gone. "Mary," he says again, but softer now, like the name itself is breaking. No one answers him. No one even looks. The cowboy doesn't move at first. He stands a few steps from the platform, eyes on the girl, not reaching, not rushing. She stands where she stepped down, shoulders straight, face quiet. Not fear. Not anger. Just something closed off. The auctioneer folds his paper, already done. "Take her and go," he says without looking up. The cowboy nods once, slow. "What's your name?" he asks. The girl doesn't answer right away. She watches him, measuring, like she's learned to do that before speaking. "Mary," she says finally. Her voice is steady, almost flat. The cowboy gives a small nod. "All right, Mary." The father pushes himself up, stumbling forward again, one last piece of fight dragging him along. "You don't get to say her name," he snaps. "You don't get to act like," he stops, breath catching. "Like she's yours." The cowboy looks at him, not angry, not kind either. Just direct. "She ain't mine." The father laughs once, sharp and bitter. "You paid for her." "I paid to stop someone else." The words land wrong, heavy in a way no one explains. The father shakes his head, stepping closer, too close. "You hurt her." The cowboy cuts him off without raising his voice. "You'll what?" Silence drops hard between them. The father's mouth opens, then closes. His shoulders sag. "Nothing," he mutters. Mary watches it all without moving. The way her father shrinks, the way the cowboy doesn't push him further. Something shifts behind her eyes, small but real. The cowboy glances back at her, then down at the ground between them, giving her space to move first. He bends slightly, not kneeling, just lowering himself enough to meet her at eye level. "You walk with me," he says. "No rope." The words sit there, simple, but strange in a place like this. Mary studies him. "Why?" she asks. The cowboy doesn't rush the answer. "Because you can." She frowns a little, like she doesn't understand that kind of choice. "And if I don't?" He shrugs once. "Then you don't." The father lets out a broken sound behind them. "Don't listen to him," he says. "Mary, come here." She turns her head slightly, not fully facing him. "For what?" she asks. The question cuts deeper than anything said before. The father takes a step forward, then stops like he's hit something invisible. "I'll fix it," he says, but the words are weak now, empty. "I'll get you back." Mary looks at him for a long moment. There's no anger in her face. That's what hurts most. "You already had me," she says quietly. The father's eyes fill, but the tears don't fall. He just stands there, lost. The cowboy straightens up slowly. "We should go," he says. Not a command. Just a fact. Mary nods once. No hesitation this time. She takes a step forward, then another, moving past the edge of the crowd. The people part without thinking, making space like they always do for what's already decided. No one reaches for her. No one speaks. The silence feels heavier than any noise. The cowboy walks beside her, not touching, not guiding, just keeping pace. After a few steps, he glances back. The father hasn't followed yet. He's still standing in the dust, staring, like if he looks hard enough, he can undo it. You coming? The cowboy asks, voice carrying just enough. The father blinks, like waking up. He looks from the cowboy to Mary, then down at his empty hands again. For a second, it seems like he won't move. Then his body shifts, slow and unsteady, and he starts walking. Not beside them. Not close. Just behind, dragging his feet through the dirt like each step costs him something he doesn't have left. Mary hears him. She doesn't turn around this time. He's still coming, she says. The cowboy nods without looking back again. I know. They keep walking, the space between all three of them stretching and holding at the same time. No one says anything else for a while. The town falls away behind them, noise fading into nothing. Just the sound of boots on dry ground, three different rhythms that don't match. The father stumbles once, catches himself, keeps going. The cowboy doesn't slow down. Mary doesn't speed up. They move forward like there's no other direction left. After a long stretch, Mary speaks again, quieter now. You always do this? The cowboy glances at her. Do what? Buy people. He shakes his head. No, she looks ahead again. Then why me? He takes a moment before answering. Because nobody else should have. That answer doesn't comfort her. But it doesn't scare her either. It just sits there, heavy and unfinished, like everything else. Behind them, the father keeps walking, not close enough to touch, not far enough to disappear. And none of them stop him. They keep walking, the dust rising around their boots, heat pressing down like the sky itself wants to weigh them into the earth. The father stumbles every few steps, swearing under his breath, catching himself on fence posts, leaning on trees that have seen better days. His eyes stay locked on Mary, on the cowboy, on the distance ahead, anywhere but the ground he's dragging himself through. Stop, he shouts once, voice cracking. Stop right there. The cowboy slows, glances over his shoulder, face calm but firm. Why? The father sways, sweat on his forehead, shirt clinging to him. I can't let her go. Mary steps forward, voice low but steady. Papa, let go. He shakes his head violently. No. You don't understand. I'll fix it. I'll get her back. He falls into silence, breaths rattling in his chest. The cowboy doesn't answer. He keeps walking at the same steady pace, giving them space, letting the father scream his threats into the empty air. Mary doesn't stop either. She walks beside the cowboy, boots kicking small clouds of dust, shoulders squared. Her hands fidget, twisting at her sleeves, but her face doesn't falter. After a few long minutes, the father shouts again. He's stealing her from me. The cowboy finally speaks, slow, precise. He ain't stealing nothing. She's already gone. The words hang, heavy, and the father blinks like he's been hit. I'll work, he says after a pause, voice trembling. I'll work every hour, every day. I'll earn what? The cowboy cuts in. His tone sharp now, edges like stone. Earn her back, the father whispers, hope and desperation mingling. She ain't a thing to earn, the cowboy says. Silence presses down between them, heavier than the sun overhead. Mary shifts her weight, takes a breath. He doesn't get to decide for me, she says quietly, but the words are fierce. The father turns, fury and pleading mixing in his eyes. I'm her father. You were, she says. Her voice is firm now. I'm my own. The cowboy glances at her, small nod, almost approving. The father sways, takes a step forward, then stumbles, catching himself against a fence post. He mutters, voice broken. I don't know how to let her walk. The cowboy doesn't answer. He keeps walking, steady, slow, a rhythm that doesn't falter no matter the father's chaos. Mary falls into step beside him, still quiet, listening to the father's ragged breaths behind them. For a moment, she glances back at him. There's grief there, yes, but also a strange kind of distance. He isn't her protector anymore. He's just a man who's lost. Hours pass in silence. The road stretches, nothing but scrub and broken fences, the smell of dust and heat thick in the air. The father's footsteps falter again. "I'll catch up," he says, voice hoarse, almost whispering. "No," the cowboy says. "You stay there. Don't follow too close." The father hesitates, looking between them, fear and shame painting his face. "I just want to see her," he says. "Then look from here," the cowboy replies. "Not closer." The words land like a wall, sudden and firm. He doesn't argue. He slows, then falls back, keeping the space between himself and the girl, between the girl and the cowboy. He stumbles but keeps moving, swallowed by the dust and distance. Mary finally speaks, voice quiet, almost to herself. "He can't hurt me anymore," she says. The cowboy glances at her. "He won't," he says. "But he can hurt himself." She swallows, nods slightly, boots crunching over the dirt, dust rising with every step. "I'm done listening," she says, almost a whisper, but the strength in it is unmistakable. "I'll go with you." The cowboy doesn't answer immediately. He just keeps walking, letting her choice settle in the air, heavy and undeniable. The father staggers behind them, stopping a few times, every time catching his breath, muttering under it. I can fix this. I'll make it right." The cowboy glances at him, face still unreadable. "You can't fix this," he says. "Not like it matters now." The father shakes his head, panic rising, hands flailing slightly. I can. I'll work." "You tried already," the cowboy interrupts. "And you failed." The father's body slumps, a little, but he keeps walking, each step slower than the last. He doesn't stop, not fully, but the fight has left his voice. Mary looks ahead, past the father, past the cowboy, to the stretch of land that's still empty, still open. She breathes, chest rising and falling. "I never asked for this," she murmurs. "No," the cowboy says, quietly, almost a hum, "but you got it anyway." She glances at him, a small flicker of acknowledgement passing between them. "Then I'll do it my way," she says. Her voice is low, steady, and she doesn't falter. The cowboy nods slightly, approving without smiling. He keeps walking, boots steady, dust rising in his wake, shoulders squared. The father stumbles again, gasping, hands gripping his knees for a moment before he pushes himself up. He wipes at his face, eyes wet, red. I can't lose her," he says. His voice cracks. The cowboy slows just enough to glance at him, expression still calm, like he's letting the father exist in the moment without interference. "You already have," he says. The father's knees buckle slightly. "No," he whispers, almost shaking. "Not yet." He takes a long breath and stands again, shoulders trembling. He's still walking, but his pace falters, falling behind more and more. Mary keeps moving, steady now, closer to the horizon than anything behind. Her boots kick up dust with every step, the heat clinging to her skin. She doesn't speak, doesn't look back. The cowboy walks beside her, silent but not cold, allowing her to lead the rhythm now. She glances at him once, a flicker of trust in her eyes. "Thank you," she says. No flourish. No unnecessary wait. Just the words. He nods. "Don't thank me. Keep moving." The father stumbles again, voice a broken echo. "Mary. Don't go with him." She doesn't respond. He drops to his knees for a moment, hands digging into the dirt. "Please." His voice cracks, pleading and sharp all at once. The cowboy stops, turns just slightly, not to confront, not to threaten, but to let the father see that he isn't stopping. "You have to let her choose," he says. "She's my daughter," the father shouts. "No," Mary says softly, voice firm even from a distance. "I'm me." The cowboy moves again, steps even, boots crunching over dirt and small stones. Mary falls into step beside him once more. The father watches, then shakes his head, voice low, muttering, "I don't know how." Dust drifts between them, sky high above, sun pressing down. Nothing else exists. Footsteps, breathing, distance. The father stumbles, falling back more, finally quiet. His presence lingers behind them, but it no longer controls them. The road stretches ahead, open and waiting, and they keep walking, side by side, moving forward, each step a claim of space, choice, and survival. They reach the edge of the ranch just as the sun dips low, light catching on the wooden fence posts like they're trying to hold something in place that won't stay. The land stretches wide, empty in a way that feels almost dangerous. Mary stops at the first post, hands gripping it lightly, testing the world outside the town she's always known. The cowboy stands back, silent, letting her take it in. No fences between them and the horizon. No ropes. Nothing but space. He doesn't tell her where to go. He doesn't even suggest. He just watches. The father lingers behind, still stumbling over the uneven ground, squinting through the late sun, trying to measure it, trying to measure her. Mary's boots crunch against the dry earth. She looks over at the house, small, rough-hewn, sitting low like it's been swallowed by the land. She expects rules, chains, authority, but there is none. The door is open, the windows cracked and empty. No one waits inside, no locks, no instructions. The cowboy gestures toward it with one hand, almost absent, then steps back. "Go," he says simply. She nods. The word barely passes her lips. She takes a step toward the door, then stops, looking back. The father is still behind, his chest rising and falling unevenly. His lips move but no words come out. The cowboy doesn't move to comfort her. He doesn't guide. He doesn't claim. "Where do I sleep?" she asks finally, voice low, cautious. The cowboy glances at her, nothing more than a tilt of his head. "Where you want." Mary frowns, uncertain. "You don't care?" He shrugs. "I care enough not to cage you." The words settle between them. Not loud. Not soft. Just real. Mary nods, slowly testing them, like she's learned that trust doesn't come easy. She steps into the house, the floorboards creaking, shadows from the fading sun slicing across the walls. Empty rooms, sparse furniture, space to breathe. Nothing is demanded of her. No one tells her to sit, to move, to speak. Just stillness. Strange kind of kindness, unfamiliar. The father stumbles closer, catching sight of her inside. His hands tremble, voice weak. "Mary," she looks at him, nothing like the little girl who used to clutch his sleeve. "Papa," she says quietly, "I'm fine." His knees almost buckle. He shakes his head, muttering. "You don't understand." "I do," she interrupts, sharp, eyes steady. "I understand enough to know I'm not yours to fix anymore." He swallows hard, shaking, words failing him. The cowboy steps closer, slow, silent. He places his hand on the father's shoulder just once, not forceful, just a reminder. "Let her choose," he says. The father nods stiffly, shoulders hunched, unsure if relief or fear is stronger. Mary moves through the house, brushing dust from surfaces, testing doorframes, listening to empty spaces. Every creak of the floor, every wind whistling through a crack in the wall is a reminder she's in a place that doesn't demand anything. She pauses by a window, looking out. The land stretches endlessly, nothing to contain her. "Why'd you buy me?" she asks finally, voice barely above the whisper of the wind. The cowboy stands behind her, silent for a long moment. "To stop someone worse," he says finally. His words are simple. They aren't comforting, but they carry weight. Mary doesn't answer immediately. She turns her gaze outward again, considering the horizon, the empty fields, the promise of space she's never had. The father leans against the wall, chest heaving. I should do something," he says, more to himself than anyone else. The cowboy glances at him, expression still unreadable. "You've done enough," he says. The father shakes his head, stubborn, frustrated. You could hurt her," the cowboy interrupts, tone calm, precise. "I already did," the father whispers. "Then stop trying," the cowboy replies. Silence falls again, thick and heavy, the kind of quiet that presses on bones. Mary shifts, hands gripping the windowsill, looking at both of them. Neither moves toward her. Neither claims her. She feels it, a strange kind of freedom. The wind picks up, carrying dust through the open doorway. Mary steps outside again, boots crunching softly, feeling the empty air around her. The father stumbles to follow, catching himself on the threshold, breathing unevenly. The cowboy waits behind them, calm, eyes scanning the horizon. No one says anything. The sun drops further, shadows stretching long and sharp across the land. Mary tilts her head, looking at the cowboy. I could get used to this, she says, voice small but firm. He nods once. Good. She turns back toward the empty house. I'll need a bed, she says. The cowboy tilts his head toward the main room. Wherever you want it, he replies. No argument. No direction. Just choice. The father finally moves forward, slow, hesitant, almost breaking under the weight of seeing her walk free. He stops at the edge of the porch, looking out over the land. His voice is soft, barely audible. I never thought, he trails off, shaking his head. The cowboy glances at him, nothing more than a warning in his posture. She's yours in memories, he says, voice low. Not in chains. The father swallows, nods once, defeated, letting his hands drop. Mary hears him but doesn't look back. She steps into the house again, boots leaving soft marks in the dust, tracing paths she can make hers alone. The cowboy follows after her, leaving the father outside, standing on the threshold, watching as something he can't hold anymore begins to live. She moves through the rooms, testing the corners, the empty chairs, the quiet hallways. Each step is deliberate, measured, like she's learning how to breathe in a space that doesn't belong to anyone else. The cowboy keeps pace behind her, never close, never pressing, letting her claim what's left in the house. She stops at a window again, sunlight fading, shadows pulling at the walls, and for a moment, she feels the weight of the day, the auction, her father, and the strange calm of the ranch. She turns her head, voice quiet but steady. I'll stay, she says. Not out of fear. Not out of obligation. But choice. The cowboy nods once. No smile. No comment. Just acknowledgement. Outside, the wind shifts, carrying dust and the smell of dry earth across the land. The father remains at the edge of the porch, silent, watching, knowing he cannot cross the distance that separates past from present. The space is hers. The silence, hers. The moment, hers. And for the first time in a long time, she feels it. Freedom. The father's shadow falls long across the dirt as the sun lowers, his hands trembling, throat tight. He wants to speak, to bargain, to explain, but nothing comes out right. The cowboy and Mary move ahead, slow and steady, leaving the father to stumble along behind, uncertain of where he belongs now. The road narrows, trees pressing in, dry leaves crunching under boots. He mutters under his breath, half to himself, half to the empty air. It ain't just money, it's never just money. Mary glances at him, voice low, sharp. Then what is it? He falters, eyes darting to the shadows between the trees. Men. Powerful men. They make the rules. They make the debts. The cowboy keeps walking, silent, letting the words hang, letting them settle without comment. Mary's steps falter slightly. What kind of rules, she asks. The father swallows, mouth dry. Rules that don't care about girls or fathers. About houses or blood. His voice shakes. They come for what they say belongs to them. The cowboy stops and looks back at him, eyes narrow. You mean the auction? The father nods. It wasn't just chance. They who? Mary interrupts, sudden and fierce. He hesitates, then mutters, the sheriff. The men behind him. They deal in things, people. Make you think it's law. The cowboy steps closer now, voice low but controlled. And you thought selling her would fix it? The father's lips twitch, shame and fear crossing his face. I thought I could buy a reprieve. I thought I could survive their hands and still hold her. Mary's fists tighten at her sides, eyes cold. You tried to sell me, she spits. And now I'm walking with him, she says, voice rising. I'm not a debt you can erase. The cowboy doesn't flinch. You're right. She isn't yours to erase. The father sways, chest heaving. I tried, he whispers. I tried, and the cowboy cuts in, are gone now. Not forever, but gone enough for now. You didn't protect her. But you can stop hurting her further. The father swallows hard, tears pooling in the corners of his eyes. I don't know if I can, he says. Mary stops suddenly, hands gripping the straps of her bag. You won't know unless you try. But not like before, she says, voice steady. This time, I choose. Not you. The father stumbles, catching himself on a low fence post, shaking his head. I just need time. I'll work every debt. I'll pay them back. The cowboy's jaw tightens, voice calm but firm. It ain't about work. It's about what you let happen. You had your chance. Mary watches him closely, eyes sharp, absorbing every faltering movement, every broken word. She doesn't say anything, but the weight of her silence is heavier than his pleading. The trees thin, opening onto a road that stretches wider than the one they've come from. Dust curls in the air, catching the fading light. The father slows to a halt, breathing uneven, chest rising and falling like he's been running all night. I can fix it, he whispers again. The cowboy stops a few paces ahead, arms crossed. No. You can't fix what's done. You can only stop adding to it. Mary steps forward, closer to him, voice quiet but hard. Then stop talking. The father nods once, barely, letting the words fall over him like the last thing he could control. They move again, the silence stretching as the path curves. Mary glances at the cowboy. He's dangerous, she says softly. Not to me, he replies. To himself. The father falters again, almost collapsing, hands hitting the dirt. I failed her, he mutters. Not entirely, the cowboy says. But enough to see. The father swallows, voice cracking. Enough to see, he repeats, letting the acknowledgement settle. Mary keeps walking beside the cowboy now, steady, boots crunching over the dry ground, carrying her weight forward with a precision born of necessity. The father keeps pace behind them, slower now, each step deliberate but uncertain. They won't stop, he whispers. The men behind it. The cowboy glances back briefly. Then we make it harder for them. Not by fear. Not by silence. By being here. By moving forward. Mary looks up at him. And if they come, he shrugs slightly. Then we face them. Together. She nods, letting his words sink, letting the quiet bond form that isn't about ownership, but survival. The father mutters something under his breath, a broken apology that doesn't reach her ears. The wind picks up, rustling through the thinning trees. Dust and the faint smell of dry grass carry along the road. Mary steps into the open again, pausing at the edge of the path, looking out at land that stretches wide, unclaimed. The cowboy falls in step beside her, giving her the first measure of freedom she's had in years. The father trails behind, unsure, unsettled, the weight of debts and threats heavy on his shoulders. He stops once, glances at them, voice low. I should fight for her. The cowboy doesn't slow down. You've lost that chance, he says. The father swallows, eyes falling, letting the words sink. Mary takes a deep breath, boots pressing into the dust, letting the empty road stretch before her. I'm done listening, she says quietly. I'll do this my way. The cowboy nods slightly, silent approval. Then walk. She glances back once, seeing the father's defeated slump, and finally, fully, steps forward. The father falters again, but doesn't speak. The sun is low now, shadows long, heat clinging to skin. Nothing moves but boots, dust, and the quiet rhythm of survival. They keep walking, the father behind, the cowboy beside, Mary leading. Each step a claim of space, of choice, of a life no longer dictated by debts or men in power. Night falls unevenly, shadows stretching across the house and the empty land beyond. Mary doesn't sleep. She sits on the floorboards near the cracked window, knees pulled close, listening to the wind slipping through the gaps. Every creak in the old wood makes her flinch. She remembers rooms locked tight, voices whispered behind doors, the cold weight of hands that claimed they owned her. The past presses against her ribs, memory after memory, each one a small knife twisting deeper. She shivers, not from cold, but from the awareness that none of this silence is safe, none of it neutral. The father sits a few feet away, leaning against the wall, eyes hollow. He watches her, silent, unsure whether to speak or stay quiet. His own breaths sound too loud in the stillness. "You're awake," he says finally, voice soft, almost trembling. Mary doesn't answer at first. "I'm listening," she whispers. He shakes his head, bitter. I don't know what to say." Her head tilts slightly, eyes narrow. "Then don't," she says. "Just listen to me." He swallows hard, throat tight. The wind rattles the window frame, making the shadows jump across the floor. She remembers the men first. Always the men. Their smiles too wide, eyes cold. How they came into the house, into the rooms that should have been hers. The way the walls seem to close in. The father doesn't interrupt, though she knows he hears it all. She swallows and continues, voice low, clipped, urgent. "They didn't just take things. They took time. They took space. They took the air you think you can breathe." Her words are jagged but precise, as if she's slicing the memory into pieces she can survive. The father's hands twitch on his knees. I didn't see it." You didn't see it, you didn't stop it," she snaps, voice sharper now. "I was alone." He flinches, voice breaking. "I know." "Don't." Her finger points, small but cutting. "Just hear it." The cowboy moves through the shadows quietly, kneeling down a few feet away. He doesn't touch her, doesn't speak. He only watches, steady, letting her words settle in the air, letting them carve the silence. The father's jaw tightens, eyes darting from the girl to the man who claimed nothing but space. "I never meant," he mutters. "Intent doesn't matter," Mary says flat. Her voice is soft now, but it cuts deeper than any yell. "What matters is who's here, and who isn't." She swallows, breath catching. "I survived because I had to. Not because anyone saved me." The father drops his head, hands gripping his knees, the sound of a broken man in the dark. The house creaks, wind gusts through the cracks. Mary shifts to the corner, knees pulled closer. She remembers a room with a locked door, the smell of damp and fear, voices whispering of bargains and debts. "They came for me," she says, voice almost a whisper, "when I was small. They smiled too much. Said I owed them. Said I was theirs." The father swallows, silent. The cowboy's face is calm, but his eyes are sharp. "Not anymore," he says quietly. The words hang between the shadows, heavier than comfort, heavier than hope. Mary nods slowly, taking the first measured breath of relief she's allowed herself in years. "I didn't sleep," she says. "I listened. Every night. I counted doors. I counted footsteps. I counted men who shouldn't have been there." She tilts her head, voice low, clipped, rhythmic. "And you," she says, eyes flicking to her father. "You drank. You looked away. You let them." He doesn't answer. Only shifts, face pressed to his knees, silent confession. She turns back to the window, voice barely audible. "I thought I could forget. But it comes back." The cowboy leans back against the wall, still, silent. "It comes back because it wasn't meant to leave," he says. "You can't erase it, but you can move forward." Mary's eyes narrow. "Forward, where?" He doesn't answer. She swallows, looks at the dark horizon just beyond the cracked window, imagining it empty, vast, her own. "I don't know if I can," she whispers. "Can you teach me?" he asks. Her eyes flick to him, cold, calculating, then soft. "Maybe," she says. "If I want." The father makes a sound like a cough, a broken attempt at presence. I tried to. No, Mary says sharply. You didn't. But I survived anyway. I am here anyway. The wind rattles the window again. Shadows twist across the floorboards, stretching long and sharp. I don't know how to. He starts again. Shut up, she says quietly but firmly. Just hear it. Hear me. Hear what's real. Not what you wish it was. He nods slowly, defeated, trembling. The cowboy doesn't speak. He doesn't move. He just lets her voice anchor the room. The father drops back, silent, listening. Mary pulls herself up to the windowsill, resting her arms across her knees. I hear everything. The walls, the doors, the locked spaces. I hear the men who smiled too much. I hear the night that never let me rest. And I survived, she says again, voice steady now. I am still here. The father swallows, jaw tight. You are, he whispers. The cowboy leans slightly, nodding, letting her claim the statement. Silence fills the room again, not empty, but settled, solid. Mary shifts, looking down at the floorboards. She speaks slowly now, almost measured. I'm tired. But not broken. Not entirely. I'm tired, but I'm awake. I'm awake, and I remember, and I choose. And I will survive tomorrow. And the day after. And the next. The father closes his eyes, face pressed into his hands, hearing words he can't untangle or fix. The cowboy sits quietly, steady, letting the girl's rhythm settle into the night. Outside, wind whips against the house, rattling boards. Dust drifts across the floor in small clouds. The room is dark, heavy, haunted by memory, but anchored by choice. Mary breathes in, slowly, finally letting herself relax a fraction. Tomorrow, she whispers. The father doesn't move. The cowboy's eyes meet hers, calm, unwavering. Tomorrow is ours, he says softly. She nods once, firm, letting the darkness settle around her, letting it keep the memory but not control her. The wind rattles the window again. The night stretches on, long and watchful. But for the first time, Mary sits, shoulders straight, listening not for footsteps, not for men, but for herself. And the father, broken, silent, cannot undo what has survived. Dawn comes slow, pale, and uneven, washing the house in gray light that doesn't quite warm anything. Mary is already awake, standing by the window, boots dusty, hands clenched lightly at her sides. The father stirs in the corner, leaning against the wall, eyes hollow. The cowboy moves silently behind her, giving her space, letting the morning settle around them like a promise. We move today, he says softly. Mary doesn't respond immediately. She glances at him, assessing. Where? Anywhere the road leads, he says. Anywhere you choose. She nods slowly, as if testing the possibility that she really could choose. The father groans, shoving himself upright, rubbing at his face. I should go first, he mutters. No, the cowboy says, voice calm but firm. You follow. Keep pace. Not close. Not far. Just follow. The father flinches. I don't know if I can, he says, voice breaking. Mary turns, face sharp. Then don't speak. Just walk. He swallows, jaw tight, and falls in line behind them. Every step he takes is hesitant, uneven, almost as if the earth itself resists him. They leave the house, dust rising under their boots, the horizon stretching wide, empty, and indifferent. Mary moves ahead, steady, eyes forward. The cowboy falls in beside her, silent, letting her set the rhythm. The father lags, chest heaving, muttering under his breath about debts, mistakes, and men who took what wasn't theirs. I failed again, he says finally. The cowboy glances at him, eyes hard. You failed once. Enough. Don't let it repeat. Mary keeps walking, quiet but listening. You always fix things? She asks. The cowboy shrugs. I try. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. She nods once, understanding in a way that is sharp, clean, and unflinching. The road stretches thin, lined with broken fence posts and empty fields. Shadows lean across the dirt like fingers. The father stumbles over a loose rock, swearing softly, hands on his knees. Mary doesn't slow. The cowboy glances down, expression flat. "Get up," he says. "I can't," the father mutters. "Yes, you can," the cowboy replies. "Then help me," the father whispers. The cowboy doesn't move toward him. He keeps walking, letting the father rise under his own weight, teaching endurance without touching it. Mary watches, eyes narrowed, boots crunching dust. Hours pass, dry and relentless. Mary glances at the horizon, imagining open land she's never walked before. She remembers the auction, the crowd, the way hands pointed like knives. "I hate him," she says quietly, voice low. "Your father?" the cowboy asks. "All of them," she says. "Not entirely," he says, calm. "Just some. Just enough to survive." The father overhears, flinching slightly, muttering, "I didn't." Mary doesn't respond. She keeps walking, letting her anger carry her forward, letting it settle around her in measured steps. The sun climbs higher, beating down, making sweat-streaked dust on their skin. They reach the remains of an old well, wooden posts blackened by age. Mary stops, hands gripping the weathered frame. She peers down, faint chill rising. "It's deep," she says. The cowboy leans slightly, voice low. "Sometimes what's buried needs to stay that way." She nods, listening, understanding the weight in silence. The father edges closer, hesitant, voice broken. I could throw something down?" "It won't fix it," she says. "No. Won't fix it," the cowboy agrees. Silence hangs over the well, over the three of them, a small monument to memory, choice, and restraint. They move on, father slower now, sweat and dust clinging to his skin. Mary leads, cowboy beside, shadows long across the dirt. The road curves, the sun climbing higher, the pass stretched behind them like a warning. "Do we stop?" she asks after a long while. "Only when you want," the cowboy replies. She nods, boots crunching over stone and dry earth. "Then not yet," she says. The father swallows, muttering, "Not yet," trailing behind. The horizon opens further, empty fields, scattered trees, long shadows, wind carrying dust and heat. Mary glances at the cowboy, quiet. "I think I can do this," she says. "Good," he replies. "You'll teach me?" "Only if you choose to learn," he says. "I do," she says, voice low but determined. The father falters, voice broken. I wish I knew how," he mutters. The cowboy's eyes meet his for a moment. "You'll learn from watching, maybe. Not owning." The father swallows, silent, letting the lesson settle like dust in the air. Evening approaches, sun fading, casting long, thin shadows over the road. They keep moving, steady rhythm, boots crunching, dust rising. Mary leads, cowboy beside, father behind, each step carrying weight, choice, and memory. "Tomorrow," she whispers, "we keep walking." "Tomorrow," the cowboy echoes. The father mutters softly, "I'll try." They don't stop. The horizon stretches, endless, indifferent, and there's to face. The horizon swallows the sun, leaving the sky bruised and dark, the last light stretching across the open fields like a warning. Mary walks steadily, boots scraping dirt, hands tight at her sides. The father stumbles behind, sweat and dust streaking his face, muttering half-coherent apologies. The cowboy stays beside her, calm, steady, giving her the lead without speaking. They move in silence, each step measured, deliberate, heavy with unspoken memory. Shadows lengthen over the ground, long and thin, following their pace, pressing close as if the land itself is listening. Mary stops at a split in the road, hand on the edge of a rusted fence post. She studies the paths, eyes narrowing. "Which way?" the cowboy asks. She shakes her head. "I choose," she says softly, voice steady. "Forward," she adds, nodding at the wider trail. The father halts, brow furrowed, voice shaking. "I don't know which is safe," he mutters. Mary glances at him sharply. There is no safe, she says. Only movement. Only choice. The cowboy nods slowly. Then forward it is, he says. They take the trail, dust curling under their boots. The father falters, catching himself on a jagged rock, knees scraping. I should guide, he says, voice trembling. The cowboy shakes his head. You follow. Not lead. Just follow. That's enough now. The father swallows, eyes downcast, letting the words settle. Mary glances at him from the corner of her eye, expression tight. Don't stop me, she warns. I won't, he whispers. The trail narrows between scrub and broken fence lines. Mary steps over gnarled roots and cracked stones, eyes forward, jaw set. The cowboy moves in her shadow, quiet, patient. Do you ever rest? She asks, voice low. Not until it's worth it, he replies. And what makes it worth it? When you stop running from what's behind, he says, voice calm, almost a murmur. Mary swallows, boots crunching over dirt, letting the meaning sink. Then we keep moving, she says. Always. The father stumbles again, chest heaving, voice ragged. I could fix it, he mutters. You can't fix what's done, the cowboy says. You can only stop repeating it. The father's hands tremble, brushing against his knees. I don't know how, he says. Then learn, Mary snaps softly. By listening, by watching, by letting go. Silence stretches between them, heavy with dust and sun-baked heat.